Welcome back to the Homes on Homes podcast. I'm Mike Holmes. I started this podcast to keep educating people on how to make it right, just like I've been doing for over 20 years on television. Here, you'll find raw, unscripted conversations with experts on building healthy homes, choosing quality products, safety at home, and more. Let's get started. Hi everyone, today is a very important subject for me today. This is Homes on Homes podcast, and this is about the construction labor shortage. This is a pain in my rear like you have no idea, and I know that everyone else out there has the same problem. We have JT from True Build Custom Homes, and he's really good. He's been with us for about 4 years now. We have my son, Michael Holmes. He has an attitude, he has a point, and we're gonna talk to him too. What I'm witnessing, and I know my son has, because we've been to, we've been to UK. We've been to
we were in Vancouver. We were in
Calgary.
Germany.
We've been all over for World Skills. Every 2 years, there's a World Skills event, 60 countries, 47 trades, robotics, IT, you name it, electricians, pilots, helicopters, automotive.
Pastry chefs.
Chefs, serving, we can go on. 47 trades. 60 countries, over 1,000 people compete for gold, silver, and bronze. I've seen an increase in the trades, of women getting into the trades especially. High numbers, not just me. It's actually statistically proven higher numbers of women getting into the trades. Now mix this with the new world that we stepped into, which I love that the government has done this. If you're listening to the government people, putting money into infrastructure was the smartest thing you ever did. We're fixing the roads, we're fixing the bridges, we're keeping people employed, especially in the COVID time. Do you think, JT, that had anything to do with, because right now every highway's being worked on, every road's being worked on, every bridge is being worked on. Do you think that has possibly moved the renovation field into the infrastructure field?
The renovation field into the infrastructure world?
Sure, because they're making big money on bulldozers, tractors, asphalt, you name it.
Absolutely. So we lose a lot of guys to that kind of infrastructure. So if a guy is working X amount of dollars for a renovation company, and all of a sudden there's an ad that calls for people for infrastructure, they're being paid twice as much, they're jumping ship. They're moving over there.
I really had a feeling with that. I mean, we've never made so many tractors in years. The dump trucks are, holy cow, how many dump trucks? Like, let's go on the highway driving and count. Never mind I Spy with my little eye, something that is blue. How about I Spy with my little eye? How many freaking dump trucks are on the highway?
Yeah.
Or tractor trailers, which is a whole new job in itself. Yeah. Trust me, you go get your AZ license tomorrow, you got a job. In the construction industry, you have a chance of a lifetime. It's not about driving a truck. It's not about fixing highways. It's not about fixing roads. Your chance of a lifetime is to learn the trades. More people are happening every day. What does this tell you in science, in your minds? That means haircuts. Oh man, I could be a haircutter. Oh, by the way, that's the trades. I could cut hair. Why? There's going to be more people tomorrow, more people the next day, and so on. That's never going to change. I can tell you right now that welders are right now in such high demand because there's not enough welders out there. I can tell you the masons, you got an opportunity for life because we're going to be building every foundation for every new home of all these new people that are on this planet every day. When we look at statistic numbers and in science of where we should be thinking and where we should be going, why wouldn't you do the trades? My biggest complaint, I'm going to say this one more time, taking it out of the schools was the biggest mistake that was ever done. Because when I was a kid in grade 6, 7, and 8, I built a house to scale with 2x4s. It was all balsam wood, used the table saw, chop saw, we used it all. But I built a home. I was in sheet metal class. I was in welding, burnt my hand like you couldn't imagine. I'll never forget it, but I did, but I learned never to touch the metal after you torch it. Accidents do happen. in school, I was lucky enough to give that, not to mention my father was, to me, Superman. Even though he wasn't, he was just a handyman. He just fixed stuff. He fixed our houses. I thought he was Superman. It was when I got into the trades and I started doing it that my father realized how good I was, which, kind of made me almost cry before he died because he told me how good I was. I just said, Dad, what are you talking about? Man, you can do this in your sleep. He goes, no, Mike, I can't understand anything you're telling me. I don't understand the codes. And I was like, oh, man. So you said a point, Michael, about not wanting to work so hard. Problem? How do we balance the system and how do we fix the system of getting more trade people?
Well, I think, one of the things we've kind of danced around, but I think one of the biggest problems, again, we've said it a million times, is the stigma that surrounds the skilled trades industry. It's the fact that we've come so far away from saying, hey, you should get into the skilled trades. Because like we said before, you should become a doctor, a lawyer, chase that money. A lot of those people, I went to school, when I went to George Brown, a guy that I was with, he had his degree in kinesiology. He had a degree in accounting. He goes, I hated it. I hated my job. And now he's one of the most talented carpenters I know. The problem is we're pushing people into other industries saying, oh, well, no, the high school dropouts, those are the people that get into the skilled trades. I've told this story a million times. My buddy who's an electrician, he's a commercial electrician who works in Ottawa. He's working in a mall. A father and a son walk by and he overhears the father say, this is why you stay in school, so you don't become like him. Little does he know, my buddy's making great money. He loves his job. So he's doing something that he's passionate about, but people look down upon the skilled trades. Waitresses, hair cutting, massage therapy, all of these things that we don't realize that not only do we need people fixing our roads, our houses, cutting our hair. These are essential services that we will need for the rest of our lives.
When you went to George Brown, did you not notice there was a lot more guys and girls going to George Brown?
Yeah.
Wanting to become trades?
Absolutely.
Now that you are an ambassador to World Skills Canada, like with me, have you not noticed that we're seeing more men and women jumping in on this?
Yeah.
That we see Conestoga College, that there's a renovation class under my name. More kids, I say kids, okay? Only because I'm probably getting older. 29 times 2, it happens. More kids I'm seeing get into this. So I'm having a problem with wondering what the hell's going on here. If we are seeing the drive of getting into the trades, then why do we have such a huge shortage?
Well, I think a part of it, I think about this all the time when we talk about skilled trade shortages. I'll never forget, it was years ago, I think we were doing Homes Makes It Right. At this time, I was running job sites, so I wasn't really on camera as much. I was doing, as a general on the job site. And I remember we were doing a school job. Remember in Brampton, we were doing a school, so we had the kids come out and help us. One of them said, I want to be an HVAC technician. I love this. He was helping out. He was working under Gary and Brian at the time. And I said, well, that's amazing. What school are you going to go to? He goes, well, my mom won't let me. My mom wants me to be a doctor, so I'm not going to be an HVAC technician because my parents won't let me. Back to square one, again, it starts from the very bottom. We got to support the kids, like you said, in the schools, right at home, to get into the skilled trades. Just try a trade. Like you said, Skills Canada, World Skills. Go out there, work for someone with the summer. You might find a passion for the trade you didn't know existed.
So
sorry.
Could this be a possibility that, because, on the planet, Google, what is it, worldmeter.com? This will tell you, the fires that are burning around the planet, hectares being destroyed, desaltation. I can go on and on. I love this thing because it's actual fact. And as a matter of fact, it'll also explain how many people are on the planet today. How many people are on the planet?
7 billion.
How many?
Something like 7 billion.
7.5,
billion people. Yeah. It's almost 8 billion. Check it out for yourself.
Estimated by 2060, we're supposed to reach 10.
Okay, and when we reach 10, now this isn't a whole different podcast. It's when we're at the tipping point. We've gone over food consumption, water consumption. we're in hell then. Before we get there, why is it we don't have enough trades? I still am having a big issue with this. JT.
There was a void in between. There's a void in between your age group where kids were told not to go to trade school. So let's say it was a decade, right? When I look at the people that I'm hiring, for example, I see a certain age group that keeps coming in and out. And there's one age group doesn't come in at all. And if they do come in, they're looking for a managerial position. I don't want to swing the hammer. Do you have something that's app-based? Can I do this? Can I do that? And I'm thinking to myself, there was at least a decade in between where even in my upbringing as being South Asian, you're always told to be an accountant, a doctor, a lawyer, because that's where you need to be, right? So there was a void in between, and that's why I'm seeing what I'm seeing right now with the caliber of interviews I'm doing. I have 100% ads running through many platforms. And I have human resources on full time, and every time I'm interviewing these guys, I'm getting more and more information. So I think there was a void. So I either have the guys that are 40s or the 30s who are running their businesses, then 20 goes, can you please hire me? I want to learn what has to happen here.
But they're just said it. It wasn't just one void, there was many voids.
Yeah.
So that was one. The other void, mom and dad not telling their kids not to get in.
Right.
The void of the schools dropping because they had to cut costs when it comes into the schools. And they were terrified, by the way, terrified. I mean, I was standing there in, what was this, sheet metal class? No, this was carpentry class. One of the kids reached over to the bandsaw. We're cutting on the wood. He's watching the teacher. Mike, what did he do? Ooh. He just grabbed the column. Remember, the bandsaw does this, right?
Yeah.
He grabbed the column to look over and see what the teacher was doing. Off his finger went.
Oh my God.
I don't think it was just about cutting costs. I think it was about insurance. I think it was about safety for children that they pulled this out of the school. So I'm going to give you some benefit there, and I'm talking about the government on this one. Then we had another void. And this void is what is really the big thing right now that I think a lot of people don't realize. The real contractors of the world are retiring. And they're retiring at a very fast rate. We're getting old. Our knees are sore, our backs are sore, and we're getting out of the business. And our kids really aren't jumping in it like we did.
Right.
So add all these voids together, and we've got nothing but a scenario that says we have a future issue. I think we're okay for infrastructure, and the only reason I'm going to say we're okay for infrastructure, and I'm talking about streets, bridges, highways, etc., is because the government, since Harper was in, the prime minister, he put the money in infrastructure. Trudeau has continued to put money in infrastructure, which is brilliant. And I hope we never stop doing this, because if we do, we're going to go into a depression, and that's my opinion, never mind a recession. For a moment, let's spend a little bit of time of what can we do right now to make a change. Michael.
Again, I think we got to look at the way we're talking to the kids. I'm talking growing up from elementary school all the way up to high school, and letting them know that the skilled trades is a viable option for their future. That is, we're scratching the surface here. We can expand so far on that, but I think that's where we got to start, is saying, like, instead of, you don't want to be in the skilled trades, you don't want to get your hands dirty, it's that skilled trades are a viable option for you. You might find your passion in that. There's a lot of money in that. Not that we should always look at the money, but that seems to be a driving force.
JT.
You're right. It's basically scratching the surface. For us, you guys as the Holmes family has been doing a great job in obviously trying to, recruit guys to come back on board and say, this is what you need to do. But I think it's nothing that's going to happen overnight.
No.
We're looking at, whatever it may be, half a decade to a decade before whatever we're training now actually comes out in the marketplace as experienced trades. So for contractors like us who have been around the block for a while, we're almost hesitant to recruit guys who are coming out of school, because we just know how the clientele is at the end of the day, right? So I'm looking at 5-10 years down the road. Whoever's learning now, 10 years down the road is the guy I want to hire, because he has 10 years worth of experience.
And that seems to be the problem, is that we're not going to get that. So I'm sorry, I got to cut this short. You would not imagine that the time has just flown by, and we want to continue this subject. So I'm going to tell you right now, we are going to do this again, because we did not even touch how to solve this problem and what we can do. I'm going to say one thing though. You get what you give in life. I don't care what anyone says. You don't want to work, you're not going to get any money. You want to be spoiled, you're not going to get any money. you want to work hard, you want an opportunity for an awesome job, get in the trades. Why? Because when I build something, I stand back and go, I built that. I did that house. I did that house. I did that house. And I feel good about that. And I made good money doing it because I worked morning till night. And if you don't have that attitude, maybe you should go be in IT. I don't know. Am I saying something wrong? We'll see you next time on the next Holmes podcast. Homes on Homes podcast to make it right. Thank you, my son Michael. Thank you, JT from True Build Custom Homes.
Love being here.
And I promise you, we're doing this again. This subject is going to continue. If you like the show, check out the episode page on makeitright.ca for more tips. Listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Amazon Music. Subscribe so you don't miss an episode.